Nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. And our two saints for today, Saint Linus was the second bishop of Rome, and then Saint Thecla. She was one of the companions of Saint Paul as he went around and preached. And both of them, we would say, suffered martyrdom. Saint Linus was ordained by Saint Paul himself. Saint Linus is mentioned in Saint Paul's Epistles. And it was he who was the first pope after Saint Peter, the second pope. He's mentioned in the Mass. During in the canon of the Mass, the priest says, Linus, Cletus, Clement, Sixtus, Cornelius, Cyprian, etc. Those are all the line of popes, right? There's no mystery as to who came after Christ. We know after Christ it was Saint Peter, then it was Saint Linus, then it was Cletus, then it was Clement, then it was Sixtus, right? We know who these people are. So there's no mystery as to where the church came from. It came from Christ, and Saint Linus is part of that. So it says that he worked many miracles. Saint Linus cast out devils. He even raised the dead. And he wrote an account of the Acts of Saint Peter. And this is it was Saint Linus who gives us the first account that Saint Peter was crucified upside down, because Saint Peter did not want to be crucified in the same manner as our Lord. He wasn't worthy. Saint Linus was martyred by beheading by the proconsul Saturninus. And this was even after this proconsul, his own daughter, had been tormented by a devil, and Saint Linus drove that demon out of his daughter. But after Saint Linus was beheaded, he was buried next to Saint Peter on Vatican Hill. And very recently, for almost 2,000 years, the history of the church held that Saint Linus and Saint Peter were buried next to each other. Those who doubted the faith and doubted the church and doubted the legends said that this was a fanciful, and there was no way that this could have been the case, and there were all kinds of reasons why Saint Linus and Saint Peter weren't really buried under the Vatican. Well, they did an excavation. I think it was either the early 2000s. And sure enough, they found tombs underneath the Vatican, right underneath the high altar, and next to a tomb of St. Peter was a tomb inscribed Linus. So those legends for 2,000 years weren't really legends, it was simply truth. And we always find that in the church. Also, a very early saint is Saint Thecla. She was a young woman who followed St. Paul's exhortation to virginity. She gave her life and her virginity to Christ, which greatly angered her family. She had been engaged to a wealthy young nobleman, and her desire to become a virgin and to follow this new strange religion was embarrassing to the family and an insult. So she was turned over to the authorities and was going to be burned at the stake, but a sudden storm quenched the fire. After that, they were going to throw her to the wild beasts, but the wild animals wouldn't touch her. And so she was released. They let her go. After that, she traveled with St. Paul for his journeys, and eventually she lived in a cave as a hermitess for 72 years, and then there lived out the rest of her life. She is held as a martyr, even though she didn't actually die for Christ. The storm put out the flames by which she was supposed to be burned, and the peace of God came over the animals so that they did not tear her to pieces. But she is still counted as a martyr because she was willing to give her life for Christ. She bravely faced and was willing to suffer the torments of fire, the torments of wild animals. Even though God didn't actually ask it of her, she was willing. And this should be a great consolation to us, because perhaps we are not going to be faced with martyrdom. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. But God looks at our willingness to suffer for him. Now, how can we be ready to give our lives for Christ in perhaps a very horrifying manner if we're not willing to give ourselves of Christ every day? We're not willing to suffer impatience. We're not willing to give of ourselves to our family, to our friends. We're not willing to give ourselves to our work or to our neighbors. We're not willing to give ourselves to prayer. If you're not willing to give generously now, you will never be able to give generously at the end when it matters most. So take that seriously. God is not calling all of us to live in a cave for 70 years, to become the Pope, to die for Christ. But God is calling all of us to die to ourselves, to give to our family, to give to our community, right, to be generous in prayer, to give to God. Give God your time, give God your love, give God time in prayer, and give that also to your family. So take that to heart, and every single day ask God, help me to be a little bit of a martyr today. Help me to give myself a little bit today so that when it comes time, I've had a whole lifetime of giving a little bit, and that counts for a whole lot at the end when we have to give everything. So let's ask for the intercession of the saints today that we might have something of their generosity towards God. So may God bless you all in the name of the Father and the Son